Welcome to Backseat Confessions Podcast. Slide into the backseat as we listen to mostly anonymous strangers tell us stories from their lives. I'm a rideshare driver in Atlanta, and the people getting in my car have absolutely no idea I'm going to ask them to share. My commitment to you is to tell at least a snippet of virtually every story recorded in my car in the order they were told to me. My hope is that you laugh, cringe, cry, but mostly connect to these amazing people. You may find a piece of your own story or just feel more connected to the rest of us. Join us, won't you? So, hey, my new friend. This is an adult podcast. Themes and languages are definitely not suitable for everyone. Listener discretion is advised. Well, I'm so excited that the time is finally here to launch the first season of Backseat Confessions Podcast. So with no further fanfare, let's do this. I love that the first story ever shared in this podcast involves the kindness of a stranger. Sometimes doctors get a reputation for being a bit cold and even ruthless. So this is a nice reminder that there are good people everywhere.
Story number 1. Friday, October 16th, 2020, 4:18 p.m.
So, a couple years ago, I had fallen down and broke my wrist, my left wrist, and I ended up getting a cast on shortly thereafter when the owner of my restaurant ended up giving me money for the cast because I didn't have the money.
Right.
While a couple months had gone by, the whole summer was kind of ruined. I'd already had a lot going on my plate because one of my twin sisters was in jail for 10 months.
And you tell me you're a triplet, by the way.
I am,
How
yeah.
crazy is that?
So this is just one of my identical twins, and then I have a fraternal.
Oh, wow.
So, that bond right there was
Yeah.
already, it was so hard to even just kind of get by because she was just, in jail, and
Wow.
then I had broken my wrist, and she was the nurse in the family, got this cast on that my boss had given me the money. Worked about 3 months with this cast on, full time, just learning how to balance and getting my boyfriend to braid my hair and just pretty much showering me.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't think that you need it. It's
Right.
my left wrist. But
And what did you do for a living?
I'm working at a restaurant in Atlanta,
Nice.
and called.
Yeah.
And so the day before I got my cast off, I had one of my regulars give me his business card and said, "Listen, if your wrist isn't healed, I'd love to see you for an appointment. It's something new that I'm starting. I think you should be the first candidate ever."
Whoa.
So as I am going to get my wrist cast off, I find out that, my wrist is still broken.
Ooh.
So all that time,
Whoa.
and it's broken.
Ugh.
So I'm thinking, I don't have health insurance. I don't know what to do. You know what? Why don't I just call this doctor?
Yeah.
Go to the doctor's office, Dr. Houston Payne from Hand, Shoulder, and Elbow of Atlanta, and walk into the office kind of screaming, I don't have money, I don't know what to do, and realize that he'd actually picked me as the first candidate to do this project called Hand to Hand Project, whereas he would give me a free surgery.
Whoa.
With everything included.
Whoa.
And it took, it was going to be about 3.5, 4 more months till the surgery date. So it was either go ahead and try to get the surgery done now, or wait that 3.5, 4 months, which I did. 3-4 months go by. I go to the doctor. I'm expecting to see some kind of bill, at least from the anesthesiologist. But the reason it had taken so long is, again, I was their first candidate. It was the first time they'd ever done this. And I got my surgery that day, 100% free, along with a bone healing exogen machine.
What?
Yeah, and it just, it really just, I just love the guy so much because there's not a lot of doctors out there that just do this out of the kindness of their heart. And it wasn't just me that day, too. After I said yes, he collected 9 more people, so 10 people in all at the surgery. And I got, the free bone healing machine, when that's just a couple thousands right there with insurance. And so now I try to volunteer every year, and not even if it's directing traffic, just at the stations. But now it's like around the U.S., and I'm part of a video. And
oh my God!
And I'm pretty sure it's just because he could always hear me coming in to the doctors because I would just be crying down the hallways, just so thankful for him.
Yeah.
But it was during that time with my sister being in jail and me going through those emotions, and then just realizing that, there's a lot more positive in the world than you really think. And I don't think I'm one to get a blessing, but he sure as hell, he gave me one.
That's amazing. That is amazing. You can barely hear it in the audio, but there is a point towards the end where this young lady started to just get choked up with gratitude for this kind doctor who rescued her from feeling pretty overwhelmed and hopeless. Not all of us can make grand gestures of this magnitude, of course, but bless all the people that see folks who are genuinely in need and just do what they can. Our next guy isn't the hero of his early story, but ends up in the right place, I think. Shots fired! Shots fired!
Story number 2. Friday, October 16, 2020, 6:01 p.m.
My early life childhood.
Yeah.
I went down the wrong path, It was a whole lot, I ain't gonna disrespect my mom. Most dudes be like, oh, I had us rough growing up. I ain't had this and that and that and that. Everybody go through their little struggles in life. But, my whole thing was my mom and my pops provided everything I needed. I most so got into the street life because I wanted the stuff that I wanted. As far as I'm saying, my friends, my homies and stuff.
Yep.
They getting new shoes, new clothes almost every week.
Right.
And I'm having to wait on my mom and my dad. Once they finish their bills and all the other stuff. Then if they can, hey, I get it. But I just got tired of waiting around for them, and I'm linked with my buddies, and I got into the street life for selling drugs, robberies, breaking in cars, breaking in houses.
You were a regular thug.
I ain't gonna. Not at first, cause
right.
we could pull up the grades, and I'll show you I made A's and B's.
You were a smart, educated thug.
So
I love it.
I ain't gonna say it first. It was just I got intrigued. I was curious about how they were getting their stuff in.
Oh,
My friend turned me on. Boom. From there, it just went left because I'm out there every day. I done started missing school now. The grades failing. And, then came across a path where it was like, hey, me and a buddy of mine got to arguing over some money because it was a drug transaction.
Yep.
And, he knew the dude was my play.
Yep.
And, he was coming to buy his own. If you know what the zone is, that's,
Yep, that's your territory.
Yeah, so, boom. He come through and he served, and I'm like, hey, hold up, time out, Here go the dope right here, let me get my money. Cause I really needed it. So it was like, he like, nah, dope sold, money fold, yada, yada, yada. So we going back and forth over the little incident. And I let him go to his car. And when he came back from his car, I ain't know he was pump faking, cause he had a hand behind his back. So, boom. So, I emptied the whole clip. I hit him like 5 times.
Damn.
And boom. So, from there, I just took everything. That's how, it was at 15.
Wow.
So, I ended up going to juvenile. From juvenile, I went to, they charged me as an adult, so I had to sit there till I turned 17. From 17, I stayed in prison to 23.
Wow. But now you've been at the same job for 7 years.
8.
8 years.
8.
Productive member of society, doing well for yourself, and you're actually looking at another job that will be a promotion, more money. So you totally, you didn't let that early childhood stuff pull you down.
It really was a learning experience. I'm saying, don't get me wrong. I ain't saying everybody need to experience it, but you know, you gotta go through some hardship in life to wake up.
Yep.
And that was just my wake up call as far as hey, you want to continue doing this, going to prison, or do you want to just, I prefer to be out here with the females.
I am so with you. By the way, was there a moment in prison or after that you made that switch of man, I want to be out here with the ladies. I don't want to be inside with a bunch of smelly dudes.
I'm going to say when I had my first child. When I had my first child, it was okay, hold
being
on.
a dad.
Because even when I got out, I had done started back, dealing a little bit, but I was still working at the same time. But it was just when I had my first child, it was hold up, wait.
Yep.
It ain't like I'm hurting because I'm making good money, you feel me? And then just I was just doing that because that's I ain't gonna say first nature, but that was first nature.
Yes, yeah.
That's what I knew.
Exactly.
So you're gonna go back to what you know.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's what I did, but I also kept my job because when I was in the halfway house, they had gave me a job, and I kept it when I got out. But it was I know I can go do this and make damn near half my paycheck real quick.
Yep.
Or I could continue doing this and make ends meet, and that's what I was doing at first. But then when I had my first little girl, it was just this ain't it no more. Let me just call it a quits on this and just continue to work, and that's what I did.
I love it. I'm really proud of you. There's nothing better than being a good dad, man. It's like one of the most rewarding things that you can ever do in life.
True that.
Right?
No facts though. No facts.
Yeah. Well, those are some good reasons to stay out of jail. Namely the ladies, of course, and being a dad. I'm always a sucker for a turnaround story, and going from a guy who emptied his gun into another dude to a stand-up guy that loves his kiddos and is a productive member of society, that's pretty great. This next story could be titled, Stupid Things Drunk Dudes Do on College Spring Break. I've always wondered what fire extinguisher powder tastes like.
Story number 3. Saturday, October 17, 2020, 1:36 a.m.
All right, so I was in Cancun for my senior spring break this past March.
College
spring break.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID. The first week of March, so right at the end of normalcy, and we were at a club in Cancun. It was kind of crazy. It was about 4 a.m, and some idiot kid grabbed the fire extinguisher off of the wall and decided to spray it all of our faces, all over the place.
Oh my God.
I thought I got poisoned. I'm not kidding, because it was smoke everywhere. You couldn't see anything. People were falling to the ground. Honestly, I genuinely thought I was getting poisoned. It went straight into my lungs, right into my face. I was covered head to toe in that white, whatever comes out of a fire extinguisher. And I turned around. I got picked up by 2 of my friends that were guys, literally physically picked up and carried out of the club. And I turned back and look, and the entire security of the club was chasing after a guy in Spanish. They were screaming at him. He had no idea what anybody was saying. It was insanity. But we ended up, me and 2 other people that were the only people that spoke Spanish ended up talking him out of going to jail, because that was the only thing that was
that's the next thing that was going to happen to him.
He was going to jail.
And you guys saved him, and you didn't even know him.
He was like a friend of a friend that just decided to be stupid that night and spray a fire extinguisher. They had to evacuate the club. It ended up being a disaster of a night, because I don't know if anybody who's ever experienced what the inside of a fire extinguisher feels like when you breathe it in.
No.
You feel like you're getting poisoned. I'm not even kidding. It's the worst feeling in the world when you're covered head to toe in this. So
oh my God.
It was a great way to end spring break.
Right. And then welcome to COVID.
That was it. Welcome to COVID. So after that, I really feel like everything went downhill. But
that's right. All because of this kid.
Yeah, exactly. I blame it on him for sure.
It was totally his fault.
For sure.
Man, that guy almost going to jail in Mexico freaks me out. I know how bad it can be here in the U.S., so I don't even want to think about what that would have been like for him. Thank God our rider was able to keep this as a great story for him rather than something potentially a little less fun. My next rider faces some pretty strong obstacles of her own, but she has a fighting spirit. And she spends some time literally being radioactive. Makes me think of that song. Radioactive. Anyways.
Story number 4. Saturday, October 17, 2020, 2:35 a.m.
So I'm a 28-year-old single female in Atlanta,
Yeah.
but I actually got diagnosed with thyroid cancer at 26 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was sucky.
That's horrible.
It was horrible. It was a really shitty feeling. I had a nodule in my neck when I was 24.
Wow. Okay.
I knew for about 2 years that I had a nodule in my neck, and no one said anything. And then I went to my OBGYN for my yearly checkup, which is why I'm so prominent about get your yearly checkup. And
Yeah.
she said to me, she's like, you have a very prominent nodule in your neck. Like, you should get this biopsied.
Yeah.
And here I am. I'm like, oh, okay. If you said so, sure, that's a problem.
Yeah.
I should probably do that. And I went for about 3 or I think it was like 4 biopsies done.
Yeah.
And each time they said it was kind of normal. Normal
yeah.
being the key word, kind of. And then finally my last one, it was abnormal. And they said my cells were completely abnormal and they think that I should remove it.
Wow.
So I was 26.
Wow.
And my doctor said we need to have a surgery for it to get a partial thyroidectomy done. And I went in for the partial thyroidectomy. And she called me 4 days later and told me it was covered in cancer.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Oh
it was.
my gosh.
It was a very shocking feling, to hear the word cancer.
Especially at 26.
At 26. I was
what?
26, and I hadn't, here's the thing, too, at no point did anyone tell me that my nodule would be cancerous. Everyone said, oh, it's fine. No big deal. It's fine.
Yeah.
So to hear it was cancerous, it was covered in cancer. It was just,
God.
a mind-blowing thing.
Yeah.
At 26. And my surgeon called me and she's like, I need to bring you in immediately to get it removed. You have cancer in your body. That's
Wow.
it. You need to get it removed.
Yeah.
And here I am. I'm like, okay. Sure. Let's do it immediately. Let's do it next. And it was 4 days later. I was on an open wound, which I had a partial thyroidectomy.
Okay.
And then it was my next surgery, which was about 8 days later.
Yeah.
On an open wound.
Oh, gosh, girl.
So it hurt a lot. It was really, really painful. And they removed the cancer, and they removed a few lymph nodes that had cancer in it.
Wow.
And then I had to get radiation treatment about 3 months later.
Wow.
And the radiation was not fun.
No.
I had so my radiation was actually called radioiodine,
Okay.
which is internally radiation.
Got it. Okay.
So instead of radiation typically is external, so you get it externally on your skin and you get a rash, but when you get thyroid cancer, it's internal radiation, so you get radioactive internally.
Oh,
So
geez.
basically I couldn't be around people. I was basically cool before 2020 happened. I did the isolation before
Right,
anyone else
before
did.
You were leading the way.
Yeah, I did it. I totally did it. I did
Amazing.
isolation for 10 days. I was radioactive for 10 days, and I was throwing up for about 5 days from the radiation.
Oh, my God.
It sucked. I was in a lot of pain for the last, the 10 days of the radiation.
Yeah.
And here I was at 26,
Oh, my gosh.
and
It's probably a good thing your heritage is Cuban Italian. What a tough
yeah,
mix,
I was
right?
a tough little cookie. I'm
No
not gonna
kidding.
lie. I think that my heritage and my family kind of told
Yeah.
me to you deal with it and you handle it, and I handled it. You have shots beforehand, you have a treatment, you have a diet beforehand.
Yep.
I had like a 20-day diet of a low iodine diet, which meant I was basically like vegan.
Wow.
And here I am like Italian Cuban. I was like, I love meat, I love cheese, and people are like, you can't do that. Like you have to have like a vegan diet. So I did that for about 25 days.
Yeah.
And then I had shots for about a week before my actual radiation treatment.
Yeah.
And I had to be alone because I was radioactive. So anyone who was around me was susceptible to being radioactive.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was really crazy. Like my family couldn't be around me, my friends couldn't be around me. Like I was in danger of putting them in danger.
Ugh.
So that was crazy to think about. Like here I am at 26, I have cancer. And someone's like, oh, by the way, if you have anyone near you, like, you're going to get them sick. And I was like,
so
cool.
You were literally forced to be alone.
Yeah, I was forced to be alone for 10 days. And it sucked. Like, I'm not going to lie. It really
horrible.
did suck. Like, for the first 4 days, I was vomiting for probably from like 10 a.m. to like 1 p.m. I was vomiting every single day.
Wow.
And that's kind of normal for thyroid cancer patients. Like if you have radiation treatment, like you get very nauseous.
Mm-hmm.
So I was vomiting for about 6 days.
Yeah.
And then I finally felt kind of normal after the 6th day. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do a puzzle. And I did a puzzle in my apartment. And I just remember thinking, like, I just want cheese. I just want cake. Like, I just want fucking cookies.
Yes.
And my mom, the saint that she is, she was like, I'm going to fucking send you a care package. Like, you're off your treatment. Like, you can do this. So I just, like, stuffed my face with, like, chocolate chip cookies and, like, cheesecake. Like, New York mozzarella and all this stuff. Yeah.
So, but you look like you're doing so good now. So, like, but I don't want to assume. But, like, okay. So are you doing well now?
I am. I am about a year clear now of cancer. Okay. So I still am dealing with...
I love that she's a fighter and grateful that the cancer was found and removed so she could go on with her life. I hope she's able to live a long and healthy life. The next story has stayed with me in a way that honestly few have. This man's powerful tale of loss just resonates so deeply with me.
Story number 5. Saturday, October 17, 2020, 10:48 p.m.
My story today is ironic. It's ironic that you even asked me this today because today is actually the anniversary, or today is actually the birthday of my son that died.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, very, very. This is so ironic. So I would say roughly around 14 years ago. Yeah, roughly around 14 years ago, my wife, while being pregnant, T, while being pregnant, came down with something that they describe, or a condition rather, that they describe as preeclampsia.
Yep.
Right? Well, she was preeclamptic or whatnot. And during that time, of course, is based on our blood pressure and how our body is reacting to the baby and this, that, and the third, high risk, going through a lot. She of course had the baby because afterwards she wasn't a stillborn or anything like that. We had a baby. He was a preemie, small. He was in the hospital for a couple months.
Wow.
For a couple months, going through it. Finally, at the hospital, after they doing a couple treatment, they tried, and then I guess it was an experimental drug because there was, at that time we were told that there was no option or whatnot. So, we gave consent for them to try this this drug. Up to this day, I don't remember the name of it.
Right.
I don't know, I don't know if there's any responsibility cast or anything like that.
Yeah.
I just know that this situation served as, for good and bad purposes in my life, because it helps. It hurts, but it helps.
Yeah.
What happened was the scary moment out of this was right before that was actually the moment when he actually died in my wife's arms. Yeah, you know what I mean? I mean, it was somewhat prepared. It was somewhat prepared because it was like, look, this is, you know, he was on tubes and such, but it wasn't sure whether it was going to be right away but it was told to us that, you know, it's potential that he could just go, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And during the last moments, you know what I mean, she had him cradled. My arm, my arm was under her arms, so he basically died in both our arms, right?
Wow.
The reason why I said there's positive in this is because, you know, when we were going to the hospital, you know, during our visits, every day we would visit, you know what I mean? Like, you know, unless something, of course, but I know my wife definitely was there every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And every day when we were visit, there were times when the nurses and even the doctor, because, you know, they got him on the reading the scan, the charts and everything, and on the machines and all of that. So based on the machines, they can tell basically if you may be going through pain at the moment, right? Because of your heart rate, you know what I mean? The reaction from not the EKG or whatever, you know what I mean?
All the vital signs.
Through the vital signs, they could you know, make an assumption that you're going through pain.
Yeah.
But when we went to visit, his name was Jasiri. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Jasiri means fearless. His name is actually because not all, my three sons, Jasiri, Karu, and Tamir, they're all hyphenated with Malik. So it's all, you know, and it's like African Arabic, so it's read backwards. So it's like king. Malik means king, and Jasiri means fearless. So it's like king that should be fearless.
Oh, that's amazing.
Because even when he was born, I didn't have his name chosen as yet.
Yeah.
I basically named my children off the characteristics that I see.
Wow.
And despite what he was going through, I figured, you know what I'm saying, that's the name I found that was fitting.
Wow.
For him. You know what I'm saying? Even my son Karu, his name means king that shall be benevolent. And he truly is that. You know what I mean? So I actually believe that, you know, based on going off the tangent of the name, I actually believe that that's how important your name is.
I believe that
because
too.
You know, that's something somebody's calling you every single day. You know what I'm saying? So those characteristics will show. But upon visiting Jasiri, you know, Jasiri Malik, you know, there were times where the nurses would express that, you know, they could tell that he was in pain, but when we went to visit and we're right over, say, even the incubator, you know what I'm saying? They would say, wow, it's amazing that he would smile. When, you know, and I would say, you know, it's when his mom came to visit, you know what I'm saying, and whatnot, that he would smile, and they would be surprised because they would look at the charts and they would say, based on the charts or the machines, like, he should be in pain right now. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I always remember that because it's almost like he came to serve an example of what you should be while going through trials sometimes. Ooh. You see what I'm saying? When he actually died, it was unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? It was unbelievable. Whereas when it's almost like whenever I close my eyes, I would see a lot of wrongdoing that I either ensued or was a part of.
Yes, sir.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it was as in that moment, it was as if something went in me and was just pulling basically like my organs out of me. I don't know how to describe it. I just remember like rolling on the wall and hearing the nurses say like, no, don't worry about mom, like get dad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you know what I'm saying? It's like I couldn't really fathom that I would be going through that. Wow. But as the years pass, and I remember him smiling through trials sometimes, it helps me through trials sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And it gives me a greater appreciation for the children. Since then, the doctor said that the chances of it happening again were very likely. But we've had 2 children, a boy and a girl since then. Very healthy, very beautiful children.
Oh, beautiful.
And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it made me even more appreciative of even my wife.
Wow.
Because as a man, I can't imagine
Nope.
pushing out a life for that life to be passed on in my arms.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
half of even the mental turmoil initially for me is wondering how that would feel.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I think part of me feeling like something is pulling is me trying to empathize with what I would think how she feels.
That's amazing.
So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I appreciate this moment to even be able to express this today because, you know what I'm saying? It like I said, it's hurt,
Yeah.
but a lot of it brings a greater appreciation for life.
Absolutely. And I think what an amazing way to honor Jasiri Malik in saying, hey, this little man changed you for the better in his short little life. That's kind of incredible.
Word.
Wow. Thank you so much for your story, my man. That's incredible.
No doubt. I appreciate you for giving me the moment to let it, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
To let that light shine.
That's an honor. Personally, for me, as a father who has lost a son, and I also feel like my son continues to inspire me to be a better man, I just feel this guy's story in my bones. Crazy to think how his boy's short little life would have such a lasting ripple effect. I wonder if we could all learn from Jasiri Malik to be a little more brave. Maybe we also can learn how our life, no matter how small we may think we are, how our life can change and inspire those around us. This is what happens when you are a rideshare driver in Atlanta and ask people for their stories. These weren't handpicked people with great stories. They just happened to get in my car and be gracious enough to share with all of us. And who knows, maybe someday you'll be in Atlanta and need to grab a rideshare and end up telling the rest of us the next great story on BCP. I'd actually encourage you to, every so often, just ask a stranger to share a story from their life. You never know what you might learn. I believe that our stories are powerful. They can make you laugh, cringe, cry, or even get you to think or feel differently. Our stories can truly make this world a little bit better place. So please, subscribe, rate, and listen to this podcast and share it with as many adults as possible. It would mean so much to me. First and foremost, I want to thank the incredible writers who trusted me with your stories. You're my heroes. Thanks also to all the people in the background who have believed in this project/dream. All of the music on this podcast was found on pixabay.com, and it was free, which is an amazing gift when you're starting a podcast on a shoestring budget.